The step-by-step guidebook just gave me something easy to read, but also allowed me to just see what was going to happen.
And the fact that you can share it with your doctors and whoever might be interested, they can draw all over it about where your particular cancer is, how it's going to be treated, that type of thing.
From the beginning, when I did get my step-by-step, I read everything in there, writing things down, appointments, but it's something I go back to just to see what my feelings were and just to see, because I write down how I felt.
I am the type of person to keep things like that and look back at them, and the nurses recommended them too, especially if something happened. They could look at that and know what stage you are, what's been happening with your treatments, where you were at the treatments, what the effects were.
I'm a list person, I'm also a visual person, and on confirmation of my diagnosis, I invested in a year planner. Not very sexy, but it hung on our bedroom wall. So that first thing in the morning when I got out of bed, I could see at a glance what was going to be happening that day.
Before I went through my mastectomy, I met with 2 women that have had breast cancer, and talking to them was probably my life saviour, I would say. Seeing them 3 years or 5 years down the track.
I would do crosswords every day to keep my mental agility intact.
I said to her, look, Cheryl, you know I love my beer. And she said, yeah. And I said, all these prescriptions I'm getting, it's got limit alcohol on them. So what do I do? She said, keep on drinking your beer.
I found out as soon as I got diagnosed that I was going to lose it, and then it was there for 9 months. But, I was looking at it and going, well, it's not really my breast anymore. It doesn't look like my breast, and one of my friends suggested to call it a silly name, and so I called it Gertrude, and my brother actually suggested to write a blog, and so I wrote a blog, and again, silly name, Get Out Gertrude. But it was actually a really good way of letting everybody know how I was feeling without me constantly having to ring them or email them and go, oh, this is what's happening.
I'd like to say to be open about it, because I've seen some pretty miserable people who haven't been able to be. I tell shopkeepers and most unlikely people, it just pops out. So I don't know where that's coming from, but it makes sense at the time.
One of the things that I do regret is that I didn't have counselling, because I literally crashed and burned a year later. I had panic attacks, and I'd get my husband to cart me off to the hospital in the middle of the night, and one of the nurses said, and he couldn't ignore me because I couldn't breathe, and I had these overwhelming feelings of absolute despair. It's like stepping off a cliff into the hole and you're just falling and there's no way out.
I went and had some counselling done at the Cancer Society because of the nature of inflammatory breast cancer and because there's such a high risk of recurrence. You have this real, how do you get on with your life with being realistic about the risk of recurrence at the same time, and how do you balance that without being too scared to move forward?
You need to have a very, very strong foundation. It can't be shaky, and my foundation was my faith. I found this group of Christian friends, and they came all the way through for me. So altogether, I had a very good package deal.
You need your partner, obviously, and you need your close friends, but sometimes people come from unexpected places. It could be a stranger that you're serving at a market. We do a market stall, and there's a woman there that I've got to know a little bit, and she's given me her story, I've given her mine, and now we can just see each other, and I know what she means when she points to a hair now because she's had another haircut or something, So sometimes that sort of support is really awesome.
I found the people on the periphery of our lives have been the most helpful, and they tend to be neighbours. For instance, coming home from a market and there's a dinner being left on the doorstep. We don't even know who it's from. We knew it was a neighbour, and we had 2 guesses. They didn't want anything from us for that. All they knew is that that's what they could do for us.
After I had the surgery, they gave you a lot of pamphlets to look at and programs you could go on. So straight away when I saw Pilates in the On-Call program, I got onto those fairly quickly. You get to meet women who have got breast cancer and you get to talk about it, you know, get to talk to women. Maybe questions that your doctor or nurses may not know, not having it. And it's just easier talking to women.
I think you have to be really careful about what you say you can do and what you will do, because it's often better just to keep saying, yeah, I can do that, don't worry, I'll do that. Those are the things you used to be able to do, and now you may not be quite so confident that you can do all of those things.
Often takes 9 to 12 months before someone feels as though they're really okay. So it's a slow improvement in energy particularly. And women often don't appreciate that, and they need to know that, because they'll start to be self-critical after a month or two if they're not better.